Hello, my name is Brophy. I'm a professional artist in San Clemente, California, and I love to surf. This is my story. Last year, I was unfortunate enough to be one of the people that caught COVID. I wasn't really worried about it. I figured I'd catch it like everybody else and be fine. Unfortunately, that's not what happened to me. Due to the fact I was so healthy, I maybe was a little overconfident and didn't go to the hospital or a doctor right away when I probably should have. And it got into my lungs. When I arrived at the hospital, they put me in ICU immediately. I overheard the technician talking to the doctor when they were wheeling me to ICU, and the technician was saying, "These are the worst scans I've ever seen of someone's lungs." It didn't look good for me. And I was like, oh man, they're talking about me. This isn't good. So, it all happened really fast. I found myself in the ICU. It was locked down, everybody was in hazmat suits with face masks and face shields. I didn't really know what was going on. The hospital was totally overrun and overwhelmed. In that time, I still was not worried. I felt that my body could handle whatever throughout it, and I just focused on getting better. I seemed to be getting better, and at one point, after being there for about a week, I felt a lot better. And I started breathing really deep in anticipation for going home. And what they didn't tell me, my lungs were so fragile. They were like wet paper. And when I started breathing deeply, it tore my lungs. My right lung collapsed, my left lung was not working too well. And that's what COVID does to you. It destroys your lungs. That night, the doctor told me I was most likely going to die. There wasn't a whole lot they could do for me, and they pressured me to go on the ventilator and be put in a coma. I wasn't real excited about this. I understood the situation was dire, and they moved me to a room with a window so I could say goodbye to my family. I was one of those people that had to do this. The doctor set out a less than 20% chance of survival, that I would probably never wake up. The next day, I fought all night to breathe and unite before. And the next day, I agreed to be put into a coma and be placed on life support. I still was not afraid. I believed that I could handle it. And as I said goodbye to my family, I was preparing myself for the journey. I had no idea what I was in store for. I thought I'd be out for a couple of days, but as weekdays turned into weeks, turned into a month, the whole time the hospital was telling my wife that I was gone and to remove life support. I don't know exactly when it happened, whether it was right away or sometime during the duration, but my first thought was, I'm not the body. The moment I left it, it was for sure. It was, instant. There's still you, that you're not in the body anymore. I didn't see my body below me or anything like this, just the idea, like, oh my gosh, I've been set free. I instantly felt like I was expanding exponentially. It was like I was everyone and everything all in the same instant. I couldn't keep up with everything that was coming online to me. I think everybody tells these stories through the lens of maybe their perception as a person desperately trying to articulate the bewilderment that you're faced with in the situation. My thought is that it felt like a river or like I was an electron in a wire. There's no talking. I'm not even sure I saw anything. I was just all there. I felt like I was being surrounded by light. I was light. Everything was light. There were all these little lights or little energies around me. They were swarming me. It felt amazing. I don't know if this is what actually happened or just what it felt like. It was so peaceful. I think that is the biggest thing I want people to take away. It was so wonderful. It was like I was growing. It's like I was remembering something I already knew. It was like everyone was there at some point. I felt like a large light had come upon me and grabbed me. I go by the way it felt because I think that was the realest part of it. It felt like I was being picked up, like a child. I felt like it was my father, maybe more than my father, maybe like all the ancestors that ever came before me. Maybe it was God. I don't know. It felt amazing, felt safe. I wasn't worried about anything. There's nothing to worry about. There never was and never will be. At some point, I couldn't remember feeling this ominous light or like in this flow the whole time. I'm in this flow of energy, seemed like it was going fast. And at this point, it just seemed like this bigger light or bigger energy or something. It was like a truck. It was like swooshing all the little lights away. We're all in this stream of energy, spiraling into space. Flow, this energy, it hit us. I don't know who or what it was, but it was powerful, intimidating. A guardian angel, sometimes I think it was the real me, the fight in me. It didn't want the little lights being around me. I wasn't afraid of them. They didn't want them around me. It was almost like the little lights were trying to absorb into me, like I was becoming more of everything and less of me. At some point, it just started going super fast. I felt like I was losing myself, like I couldn't hang on, Like whatever was me was disappearing. And at some point, when I thought I couldn't hang on any longer, we busted out of the river of light. And everything was still. The thought was, you have to go back. And you feel like, I was there forever. I'd forgotten about this place. I'd forgotten about my wife and my son. And it was like an instant thought of like, oh yeah, they're waiting for me. Oh man, I forgot. Like, it seemed like I forgot, like an appointment or something, and then was reminded and remembered. I didn't know how to go back. I didn't know where it was. It seemed so long ago. It was just impossible. I felt comfortable where I was at, and I didn't fight being told to go back. It seemed like they just gently floated me down, floating back down effortlessly. And then, at the last second, it felt like a squeezing into a bottle or being in a trash compactor or something like this. I don't remember waking up, but the first thing I do remember was like, oh my gosh, I'm back to this. I got sent in this broken body. I didn't realize that I'd been in a coma. I didn't realize where I was. I didn't understand that I was paralyzed. I thought I was being restrained. I couldn't understand what anybody was saying because of the masks and face shields. I couldn't move my head. I was still looking at everybody's waist. I couldn't talk for 2 more months. I couldn't tell anybody what had happened to me. I was in ICU for months, on the verge of death. I don't think I actually ever did die in the coma. I think they just life support and everything, your body just slips away. I spent the last year learning a lot, learning to talk and everything again. I've had a lot of time to think about what happened. I wasn't sure if it was real or not. It had been so long since I could talk to anybody. I didn't know what to say. The first time they put a thing in my tracheotomy that you can talk, it's one of the first things I started talking about, that I was light. It is what got me through the awfulness of waking up paralyzed and fighting to breathe. My thought was, you can't kill me because I'm the light. I said it over and over again in my mind. I could hear the nurses and doctors in amazement that I was still alive. I was here. It was so heavy, full, but I'm here. I made it.